I was given the key to your success and happiness. That's because it's within you, it's what you were born with, it just needs to be developed, that's all. And it never stops, meaning as long as you're alive, there's more that you can do. But we have different places in our lives that we might get stuck a little bit. I did that quite a bit. But we also have those places within our civilization, meaning that we change. And we're moving through a change right now, which means that you could be feeling that there's something else you're meant to do, somewhere else you're supposed to go in your life or something like that, and you haven't figured it out. I understand that because that's exactly what I did. But I know that now is that time where we're meant to embrace who we are, or in other words, our authentic self. See, where your happiness and success are, that's in your authentic self. But that's the journey of self-discovery that we all move through. But our world does the same thing. That's what it's attempting to do now, is to move to a greater place of understanding and acceptance, which is why you are alive. And I can prove it to you because I'm going to give you information today. I've done this many times over the last few days because I want you to understand why I am moving on in my life and creating something different, because I'm going to leave something with the world that could have it become much better. Meaning the only way I can do that is when you become who you're meant to be. And I know that it's within you, and I know that I have the thing that can guide you there. I know that everyone's not going to believe that. I didn't believe it either. And I'm 74. And then it showed up and said, oh, this is it. You mean all of this work caused me to heal and come to understand and know who I am and feel confident and move through this period with greater ease? You can do the same thing, and I'm going to prove it to you. It's all in our consciousness. There's no difference in any of us except how we choose to think. It doesn't matter what you believe your level of intelligence might be. None of that matters. It's your soul. And that's the work that I have brought to this world, and I'm going to show it to you in a couple of different ways. I put together a few messages because it is November the 8th. There's an alignment in the universe, and the way that I received messages was on particular days, they would give me new information, new information. That's what you do as well. We all do it, but we do that as a civilization as well. We can't accept something if we haven't seen it done. And so that's what I have to do, is show what is possible, because I didn't believe it either. I didn't believe that I could have healed my life. I didn't believe that I could understand what was happening in our world and explain it to others, but I can. And I know that you can as well, because as you'll hear in the video, because I'm going to put a session on the end of this. I'm going to show you a few slides. I'm going to read a couple of messages, but these will all be on the videos. You don't need to stay with it now. I'll leave a link where you can watch the video and read the messages at your convenience, because they will help you. Every time you read one, you'll get more information. And then at the end of that, I'm going to leave a channeling session that was held in 2021. And you will listen to it today, and it'll explain everything to you, and it will explain Wilhelm's work. You will know why I have done what I've done. You will understand how I've healed my life and what the process was, and you will understand why I know that you can accomplish anything, because it's within you. All you have to do is just use your mind and use the work that I was given, and you have this great life. And that's what you're going to see now. But let me share this so you can kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about. And it is this. I was given the key to your success and happiness. And so we're going to go through this a little bit. And then again, like I said, I'll leave the link here. Okay, November 8th, 2016. This was a message that was relevant, and you'll probably understand it today, because there are cycles that happen. Yes, there are times when you will experience what could be called good anger. It is called good subjectively because your experience of it causes you to do something that turns into your own personal expansion. You have had much of this recently. When you experience a feeling of anger directed at your world, it causes you to realize and come to know and eventually own your beliefs or who you are. You had another experience where you felt anger that you were not paid what you felt you were entitled for your services. And the result of that was you realized and came to own and appreciate your value. Every experience you have holds something good for you to find when you decide to look for that good. That message will probably be really beneficial for a lot of people in the United States as we've just moved through our election, and Wilhelm has given us so much information about that because we are experiencing that kind of anger, but it's to cause you to know who you are. Then today, this message, and they had me do this last night, so I want you to understand when I hear things, I have to go and put it down because it's aligned with what's happening in our world. You will hear us for sure today. We are referring to a message we provided on this date last year, and we had our messenger add a session here for you that more thoroughly explains our philosophy, your life, and the current conditions of your life and world. Then back another year, you can hear us today. We mean that figuratively and literally. We have said you are moving through a massive restructuring of yourself in the world, and you exist to offer your essence, which happens when you choose to love yourself and understand and accept your life mission. And you can read all this later as I'll leave the link. And then the next one, and these are all on November 8th, because Wilhelm wanted you to see there's a process that we come to accept ourselves, and so we have to let go of the judgment if we haven't done it. And you'll hear that in the video as well. All of your life is perfect, and it merely waits for you to come to discover and own that. It is perfect because you came forth to accomplish certain things in your life. And in order for that to occur, you agreed to have certain experiences, circumstances, and events show up to allow you to accomplish that. You'll get so much more from that one as well. Then we'll go to this one because it was kind of surprising when I found it. It was like I kept going through the messages and it says every single one, you'll see we gave you something different. This too was part of the plan. That sentiment is one that you would do well to hold when anything shows up in your life that feels to you to be unexpected. Now it becomes easier for you to accomplish this when you first accept and believe this premise. You'll get so much from that one. Let's go forth now in 2018. While you have written on this subject often, your understanding today will go much deeper. We will give you the answer once more so that you not only notice it, but embrace it as well. So you use it to your benefit. Here goes. You were afraid. That's probably the answer that we can all find when we stop ourselves, when we haven't taken the next step, when we haven't succeeded. That is the only thing that is there. I know this well. That's why I wrote the book on fear. Then 2020. The restructuring of your life is now well underway. We have been speaking of the restructuring of your world, but it was always with the intent of causing you to understand that you live now to experience your individual restructuring, which then causes the world to evolve. Many of you witnessed this last night, but did not know what you saw precisely. When you go through all of this, the rest of this message, I want you to understand that it is talking about these events that happened 4 years ago, but it was on this date. And we move through cycles, and you will relate them to what's happening in your life and our world now. And you'll really understand that when you hear the video. And it goes on, this is continued because it talks about the United States. Everyone was kind of surprised with the election that we just held. I was not, because we're still moving through this restrictions that we've had on ourselves and our world, because we haven't accepted ourselves, so we haven't accepted everyone else, and that's just the process. And that is what you're doing, which is why you're alive, is to accept more and more of who you can become. Then in 2021, then it was revealed that all of this work gave me your life operating instructions, which is a philosophy that I turned into an online program. I doubted it, just like you doubt who you are. But you can see that's when it came through. And then I finally decided I was going to try it in December of 2021. That's when I first opened it, and it blew me away. All of my doubts were just history after that point, because it's just progressed so much. But I still stopped myself because I didn't understand what was happening, as you might not have understood what was coming up for you. Self discovery can be surprising at times. So, then, cognitive dissonance, and I want all of us to understand this. And I went and I just wanted to put this in to give you all of this. I talked about this quite a bit because we haven't really accepted or understood this thoroughly. If we had, we would not have been surprised in the United States, especially about the results of the election. Or we would not be surprised when we watch certain countries where people who live there do not understand or know what's going on. We all control our consciousness, but at times we can allow others to do that. And then when we're presented with new information, you can't understand it and you can't accept it. And so for me, it was really saying why the dissonance, back here you'll be able to see it, the dissonance could lead people to unconsciously resist hearing or processing Wilhelm's messages, opting instead for familiar and comforting narratives that align more closely with their current worldview. And that is it. And I've known that for the longest time. When I first started talking about this work, it's challenging for us to understand that we are doing this through our consciousness, each of us. And it was challenging to tell people that how I've healed everything because of that. But I know that you can do it. And so it's no longer, I can no longer hold back what I know from others. It's just everyone's responsibility what they're going to take from it. So then what happens is, oops, sorry, let me go to the next one. I put in, this is a session, and I'm going to leave it at the end. I'm going to share it here. I'm going to play it for you so you can have it. It'll be connected to this video, and it was held on November the 11th of 2021. So you will understand so much more. And then after that, you will see, when you have this PDF, you'll see, then you can get to my website here. You can click all of that and you can see it. But it's going to be here on this video. And this session explains so much, and you will understand how much you have to offer. Nothing is going wrong in your life or our world. We're just coming to accept more of who we are, and it's time for you to do that. And that is why I created this work. And I wanted to put this out today because next week we're making all the changes, and I just wanted people to have enough time to listen to this, see all the videos that I've put up. I always like to educate in terms of what's happening in the world to give you greater understanding. So as you listen to this, you will understand so much more. And then I invite you to look at the program, to join it, and do what you'd like with it. But you will understand so much more with this. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if this is your first time being here, and share the video with others. It would be of great benefit. And so you will have the luckiest day of your life at the end of this, but you can also get it in the description of this video. See you guys soon. Okay, we're going to do things a little differently today. What I'd like to do, oh, Sam, you're recording. Great. We're recording this now. And so what I want to do is explain what's going to happen today. And I want everyone to understand it as I bring in my Wilhelm, because to some people it might be a little strange, but it will probably make a little more sense today because this is a good one. Anyway, what we're going to do is become present, come into the room, because this is really your day. This is really something that each of you will see that was meant for you. And so you just need to come into your place of being right now. We're going to take a few breaths, but the other instruction I have been given is that you should hold in your head during this entire presentation, you should hold in your head what you desire to see for your life and the world. That's what this day is about. That's what we're doing here. And it's about you. And you will understand this as we begin to go into the practice. So first, a few breaths. And when we begin, you will see, as usual, that there will be a message on the board that I've been directed. Wilhelm directed me to have that there so you will all understand why you are here and why we're doing this. Okay. Take a big breath. Hold it for a bit. Let it go slowly. Another big breath. Let it go very slowly. You're becoming more relaxed. We'll do one more, then you'll be really present. Big breath. Let it go slowly. We are ready to begin. We are so pleased you're here again. And we have waited for you your entire lives. And today you might understand that a bit more. We know we've said that every time we've seen you. But today you will understand it more in a very deep level. And it is a time where you can use this information now to really propel your life forward. That's why we wanted you here. We know how you're feeling. We know that these times might have been confusing and troubling for many of you, but we're going to show you that they were perfect. They were perfect for you. That's why we have the message for you that we gave you in 2012, you see. That's where we're going to begin. We have strung out this entire series of the conversations that we've had for the intention of causing each of you to believe in yourselves more and to move through more of your fear and doubt. Because see, that's what you do as humans. You come into the world and you move through fear and doubt. As we said, that is to get you to love. And the love that you're getting to now, which we're so pleased about, is loving yourself. That's the only reason you're here. That was your only intention for being born. But you just didn't understand all the things that happened in between. And that's what we're going to talk about now. We told you that we gave Roger, we said that to him, we gave you, because we want you to understand this. We gave it to all of you. We're just saying this so you can relate this to your life. See, because you have something in you. You've had these gifts that you have not trusted, that you have not allowed to come forth, that you have doubted, that you thought somebody else did it better. They had it all. That was never true. You just didn't know what you were doing. You were evolving. You are human. You come into the physical world to evolve. That's all. And every experience you have, every person you meet is helping you to accomplish that. Even the terrible times, as you might have called them, that you're moving through now, are helping you to accomplish that. There was a analogy. We don't like using this, but we're going to do it because it might help you. We had Roger see something this morning, hear something of someone describing what this is like, your eternal life. And they use the idea of an escalator. We've said this before. We don't like using things that humans can use to make distinctions of good or bad, up and down, right or wrong. But this is probably the best one that we could come up with now. And if you imagine yourself on an escalator, right? You're going up, you're going up, you're going up. That's what you're doing. You see, that's your life. That's your eternal life. It's always there. And where you're moving to is this great beyond, this expanse. And you're always doing it. But see, you take detours. And this right now, this is a detour. You're not done. This life is not the end. This is just a detour. And in this example that we thought was okay, we just don't like using the ideas of up and down because humans make distinctions of good or bad, right or wrong, and better than and all of that. No, it's all the same. It's just expansion.
It's just evolvement. So, but anyway, this thing, you get off on a certain place. You say, oh, this is a place I want to stay for a while. Because I can learn some stuff there. I can get some things. I can figure out if I stop on this floor. Okay, then you get back on the escalator again and you keep going. And then, oh, here's another one. I like this one. Let me stop here. Now I'm going to figure this one out. I'm going to get some more stuff there. Okay, I'm done there. Now I'm going to go on. And when you're done, that's when you just leave your physical body, you see. And then you just get on the escalator again, and then you go, and then you get another place you're going to be. And each one of them is an ascended place. Each one of it is higher. And then collectively, you're doing the same thing. But we want you to understand that each of you are doing that in your lives. Your lives are brilliant. You plan this. You plan to be here. This isn't accidental. You know that. You keep hearing things. And we've said the things that you hear from us, where it's not us telling you anything. It's you listening to yourself. It's you being awakened to your internal guidance. You see, that's what's going on. So we told Roger that we gave him everything in 2012. And he said, no, that's not possible. That couldn't have come to me. I couldn't have that. We even told him the name. We said, it's your life operating instructions for this life. You see? And he said, no, that couldn't possibly be. And then we spent the last several weeks having him go back and look, see, because he kept doubting. It's the same thing you do. You see, I have this dream, I have this idea that what I'm going to do, but I'm not sure that I can do that. And to show you how we know this, someone sent Roger an email, which he has not answered, a message. He didn't see it really, but the message said, I'm thinking of doing this thing, but I'm not sure. That's what you've each done. That's why we play out this whole long thing, to show you that now is the time that you can change that. You can decide that you're going to accept this. Because we told Roger, you have to do this now. You have to give it to everyone, because it will make a big difference. See, that's the thing that, again, each of you do not believe that your presence, and we want you to hear this, please listen closely, your presence is the most vital thing that is occurring in the world right now. It is your presence. And you go through eons, as we've said, where you have not understood that, but you do better. You see, each time you come back, each time you get off on another landing, so to speak, another life, you learn more. You remember more. That's what we want you to understand. You remember more. And sometimes that can be a little frightening, because you each think that you are insignificant and that you have no connection to all that is. A while back, we began talking about DNA, your personal DNA. We told you that Roger had his done, and we led him to that because we wanted to talk about it today in a completely new way. See, the DNA is something that you each have the technology that you could see to understand that you are not just these physical bodies that you think you are, that you're connected to so much more. Roger's still trying to figure out how he could be 14% Scottish, you see. You each have that. You're connected to far more. So then when we said we gave you everything in 2012, he's wondering, how could that be? And how could I not have seen it? How could I not have known that? You don't know it because that's how you set up your lives, you see? You set up your lives to have these dreams, these goals, these things that you didn't think you could do. You didn't think that they could have come through you. You didn't think that you could have created, but you did. And we're going to have so many more of you understand that and own yourselves and love yourself and start putting it out there. And we're just using Roger as the example. We want to talk about this in this way. We've explained this to Roger. We want to get this out of the way. He had so many troubles and difficulties in the early part of his life. We've talked to you about that. We talked to you about his medical conditions. We talked to you about where he went last week, actually, and received the medical results that now were brilliant. We're perfect. because he decided that he's going to allow himself to move into more of who he was meant to be. And that's what each of you are doing. And all he is doing is being a wayshore for each of you. That's all. And you're going to do the same thing you always do. You've done this forever. So we wanted him to see a little bit more. So when we said we gave you this in 2012, he's walking around, he's going, why? How could that have happened? And then we showed him, we directed him to look up the 2012 phenomena. See, you're each a part of that, otherwise you wouldn't be here. You each are connected to that energy that came in during that time. And that was a time from our perspective, where we said, you are beginning now. This is not the end of the world. It's not the end of your life. It's not the end of it. You're just beginning on this part of your evolutionary journey. And so we said in 2012, that's what's happening. Now, during that year, the phenomenon was there were so many other groups that had ideas about what was happening in your world, and they started putting it out there. You do this all the time. They were different. They need to be different, you see, because you don't evolve as humans unless you have contrast. Sometimes it turns into conflict, and that causes you to be a bit more frightened, as what's occurring in your world now. But we've also given you many messages about chaos, and so that you would understand. I mean, chaos breeds unity. We just want you to hold that one. You're not going to see it right away, but you will eventually, if you do what we're telling you today, which is own yourselves, you see, because we know why you came here, to offer something to the world that was going to make a difference. You just didn't trust it, that's all. But we're going to get you over your fear and doubt. We're going to keep doing this because this is so much fun. So what we did, we said, we're going to talk about this in this way. You must understand that Roger is very clear that he is working through his human limitations, judgments, and all that. He's very clear of that. And so when he hears us, there is no judgment, there's no any of that. We just love him, and it's just like we do with you. That's what happens. You each are doing that in your own way. You must acknowledge that you're moving through your crap. You're moving through your limitations, your judgments, your restrictions. You're always doing it. So Roger heard us last night, and he was about to go to bed, and we said, no, you're not doing that yet. We had him watch a documentary, you see, about the Maya civilization, because you're each connected to that. We told you some time ago, it came out in one of our sessions, we said, Roger has ancient memory, and it shocked him, you see. He didn't know what we were talking about. We're saying this in the way because you each have these buried memories of why you're here and what you're meant to accomplish. They come through at different times. You start to accept a little bit of it, but you're accepting a lot more this time because you decided to be alive. We want you to understand this. You decided to be alive at this time because you knew it was going to be challenging. And you knew it offered you the best opportunity to be the self that you wanted to ascend to. That's what happened. And so we also said that you've lost certain civilizations. None of you understood that. And you also can't understand really the idea of time, because you have to operate on linear time, meaning in this world and in this physical life this time. And that's okay. But understand that everything is happening all at once. So when we had him watch some of the Mayan civilization, he started to understand that this is the information we've been bringing through. And then he happened to understand that 2012 was the year that they also said, we're creating something new. Now, the reason that we are using 2012, because we're going to tell you how we did this. We started January 1st of 2012 with infinite intelligence. That's what we started with, because we want you each to understand that you have infinite intelligence. There's nothing hidden from you. No one else has more information than you. No one else has more knowledge, or none of that. I mean, they have more knowledge if they've accumulated it, but they don't have more ability than you. You see, you each accumulate things in different ways, but the ability that you each have is equal. And you keep trying to figure that out. But when you haven't, that's when you end up with a world that how it looks today. This morning, We had Roger, when he went to share a message that we had sent, he saw that in 2018, on this day, November 11th, we gave you all another message that said why you need wars and why they never work. And we explained that you will go through periods in your civilization as humans, you do this, where you will fight one another. You just have wars. But the wars are designed to get you to understand who you are, to bring you to an awareness of who you are. That's all. And right now you're going through huge divisions, and we're going to talk about that. We had that happen as well. You have political divisions in this particular country in the United States. There's so many of them, but it's permeating across your entire world. It's not just there, it's every single country. But you are the people who decided to change that. You are the people who decided that now we're going to make something different. See, because that's what the Mayans brought in. They wanted to keep themselves, and they're very different ones. And we didn't have him go through everything. He's going to do more study, but they're different sects, you might say. Okay, but they all understood that there was more to them than just this physical world. But then what started to happen is what we all told you, and you wonder why they disappeared. You see. Because that whole idea of humans using money and power to control one another, that came in right after that period. And we told them, we want you to go back and look at 800 AD, because that's where you will relate to more of what you're doing right now. Because this is what you're creating. You're each creating this. Now, we did this purposely. If you look at 2012 and you see the spans of years, and he's wondering, how come I couldn't know all of this? How come I didn't have it? You weren't supposed to. We're saying this because each of you have this. See, you're doubting the stuff that has come to you. You're doubting what you feel is your talent or your ability. You don't know that before you don't know its value while it's there. You only know it afterwards. There has to be experience. You have to put it out into the world for it to have that value that you think it has, that it holds for you, but it is there. And we just want each of you to understand this part of it, because the problem is, and this is why we didn't want Roger to use that escalator thing, but it's the closest thing he could come to. But we liked our tree one last time we spoke to you about the fact that you're always growing, that you're always evolving, that you're always expanding, that you're always becoming more. So we need you to stop beating yourselves up for what you haven't done yet. That's really the important one. We've told you before, your self-judgment has just been so, too much. Too much. Let it go. We got to move on now. See, because we're creating a new world. That's why you decided to be here. That's why you even agreed to go through the challenges that you've had. We want you to understand that, because when you do, those challenges will become like gifts for you. You'll see. They'll become gifts. You'll accept, oh, I was just holding myself back and doing all of these things, and I didn't need to do that. See, that's why we're using Roger for this. He still couldn't believe. We're saying this, we're using him as the example. We want you to get this, because we know, we've seen what each of you have done. You're hiding things away. You see, because, oh, wait a minute, I can't show them this. It's not good enough. It is. Every word, in some of our messages, you know that we've done this, we say these words are subjective, meaning that you're always placing your own meaning onto anything that you might see, anything that you might hear, because that's what you were meant to do. All we are is aiding you by giving information that your higher self, we know, will hear and start to awaken within you, so that you can take advantage of this time. And the reason that the 1111 gateway portal, whatever you want to think about, it is a time in your world where it was agreed upon that if you decided, you could move to another level in your life and then move the world to another level. If you decide, because it's always up to you. You have free will. Some of you think that you're destined to do certain things, and you are not, because you have free will. Now, there are certain things, we've talked about this before. Some of you think that you have predetermined destinies. No, you have things, you have potential. And the potential you always feel. You always feel that potential. And sometimes you choose to act on it. Sometimes you choose to believe it and then go with it. What we did for Roger, we made it so difficult for him that he has to believe it. And that's what we're going to do for all of you. See, because you can't hear certain things over and over again and not eventually have them make sense to you. We've told you the many times that he's moved through his life and didn't move on something because of his fear. That's why we had him write the book on fear. You each have done that, and that's why you're here, because we're going to say you can let it go now. You're in such a great place. And this opportunity of this day is so powerful, and that's why we brought you here. That's why we brought you here. And then we're so pleased because there are certain people who have never known of us and said, let's check out this guy. Let's see what this is about. And you're hearing stuff that's saying, oh, wow. I know that I've never been in the wrong place. And that's what we're going to have each of you understand, because again, you've judged yourselves because you thought that you did something wrong. You thought you failed. You thought you didn't have the ability, and you always do. You're just developing it at the time that is right for you. Please understand that. For you. We're pleased. Someone sent us an email saying that they finally understood the chronological time thing. And we were so pleased with that one. We finally understood that. See, because that's what you do. You make up these deadlines or so in your lives where you think, I'm at this age, this physical chronological age, and I should have accomplished this. And then if you haven't, then you start beating yourselves up. You're a failure. You're a mess. No, that's because you've forgotten that you're eternal beings. And so you're going to keep doing this. However, you decided now, though, that you were going to change that. You decided that you were going to do something different, which is why you showed up here. That's the only reason you showed up. You knew that it was time for you at this point in your life. This is not accidental. You knew this was time for you to start to move there. And you just needed some more encouragement. You need some more help. And you have it now, because see, what's happening right at this moment, people across your globe are understanding this moment. They're calling in this energy for you to use. Everything is energy, we told you. Everything is energy. And so that's why we wanted you to have in your mind what you want to create, you see, because it's not going to happen tomorrow, which is why we said we started this in 2012, but you see, we're in 2021. And it's making a little more sense. Where you are going now is just brilliant if you decide to do it. Now, we're saying this because, again, there's this balance that we are always walking. We don't want any fear to come into this. We want you to understand that. But the reason that we said that certain civilizations had been lost was because they were being controlled by those who needed power to keep them down, to keep the others down. You still have that going on today. You've never let go of this, which is why we gave you the message about money, love, power, and control. You've done this forever. It's okay because it's purposeful. Because you change the paradigm every time you do it, and you're changing it in a major way now. And that's what's so exciting. Everything that we gave you in 2012 was to get you to understand this, and you will all see this soon because we're going to put this together. We've said to Roger, you must do this. Everything we gave you through that year was talking about your physical life experience. We want you to understand that. Your physical life experience, because we wanted you to understand that there is a distinction. You are eternal spiritual beings. And as we said, you take the escalator, you decide at one point, this is a nice floor that I'm going to get off on for a while, and that's your life now, and let me see what I can do with that. And the better you do with it, it makes the next time a lot easier. You go even higher, you see. Again, we don't like using that terminology, but we want you to understand that it's about expansion. The reason we say this, and we want to explain, because many of you here especially, you've done this. You've made distinctions because you thought that other people had more than you did. You see, and that was ingrained in you. It's been ingrained in you since humans have come into civilization. You know, since you've been here, that's what you've done. You think that there are certain beings who have much more than you, or who have much more wisdom. No, you have the same. It's just that it's developed at different places, you see. Because think about the eternalness of your being. And so at certain points, you went through all of this stuff in that life, and then you come here and you're doing something else, and you just keep going, and it gets better and better. But it only gets better when you decide to own yourself, because that's why you put yourself on the journey. You put yourself on the escalator because you wanted to evolve. You wanted to be happy. You wanted to be loved. You wanted to have abundance. You wanted to have all of those things, and now you can. We're telling you that the energies that are available to you now are so powerful that if you decide to believe what we're telling you and own them and remember your vision, you're going to manifest it. You will. You absolutely will. And we're some of you are actually getting there. We love it. This is good. So part of what is occurring in your world is this mass wake up. It's a massive wake up. We told you several meetings ago. We begged you actually to stop burning down your planet. And so because you have so many resources that you could utilize that would make all of your lives better. But the point of this particular period you're going through is for more of you to come to understand that. Okay, in the Mayan civilization, they went through periods where they had no water, but they were so resourceful that they figured out how to utilize what they had. And you are here today, thousands of years later, and you haven't figured that out yet, because you've allowed the money to become more important than your people. That's what happened. Because money represented to you power. We've told you that's not where your power comes from, any of you. And in every civilization, you figure this out more and more. Your power is coming from your focused attention. Focused attention, meaning that you are deciding in every moment that you're going to place your mind, your attention, the energy of your thoughts in the direction of where you want to go. That's all. That's all it requires. You're not going to stay there all the time. We know that. But when you do it enough, you will continue on that path. You will fall off. You have all of that. You need to. You need to have these ups and downs, as we've called them. Because you're always going up. There's no other way for you to go. And again, we want to explain to you why we have given these talks in this way, because each of you have disowned the parts of you that you hear so clearly. You hear that inner voice. You hear your guides. You hear your angels. You hear however you have interpreted it. You do hear it, but you're afraid to trust it. But now you will. You've moved to a different level. It's not possible for you to not have evolved. It's just not possible. And as the message says, you may not notice it, you may not pay attention to it, which is why we've created so many processes and programs and exercises over the years that we've given Roger. He didn't even understand why we were doing that, but now he does. Again, we want to make this point of why we use your life operating instructions, why we have used this, why we have dragged it out, because we wanted you to see that you have ancient wisdom. Each of you, you do. It just only comes out when it's needed. It only comes out when it's appropriate on your path, on your individual evolutionary path. But you're each doing that. And that's why you decided to be here now. The resourcefulness that you each have is now being called up, and you've seen this. Your world has used this. When the pandemic began, You all saw news reports of people who were didn't have certain things that they needed. And miraculously, they were forced to go inside and figure out something. New inventions. You have developed so much technology that many of you are not aware of right now. You're just not aware of it because you've been focused on other things, but you have done it. And that's what always happens. That's how your civilization keeps evolving. That's the way that, the reason it looks the way that it does now. And so people are still, we had them see this just recently, well, but maybe a year ago, you uncovered things from that civilization that no one had known of because they were buried, you see. They were covered over with grains and nobody saw them. So you developed technology, humans, you developed technology where you could see through the earth. You could see, oh, there's civilizations down there, and now you're uncovering them. And we're saying this because this is what you're doing with yourself, you see. This is what your soul is doing with you right now. You're uncovering these things. But it's so fascinating to see this because they're wondering, and then they sit and they marvel at how could this technology have existed then? How could the architecture, they're still trying to figure out how the Mayans built these magnificent structures. They didn't have the information that you have now. We really want you to appreciate that. Because see, you are taking over where they left off. They left because they were being overtaken. Roger doesn't have this information yet, but we'll have him get more and we'll get more to you. But they were taken over because there were those who thought power was more important. And so they just kind of dispersed, but they still exist and they're all within you. They didn't have all the same ideas. They did, and we're not saying that they were not more evolved beings in certain ways, because you each build upon the technology, the wisdom, and everything that came before. So you have much more, but you can do it in a way now because of the evolution of your world and your planet. You have much more ability now to create that magnificent world that they envisioned and left to you. We gave you one, and you can go to our writings, you can find this, but we said your ancestors are watching now with curiosity, because that's what each of you are doing in your own way. You are connected to your strain of family, ancestors, lineage, and all of that. And so there's certain of you have accepted certain restrictions and limitations from those, and you've decided in this life that you are going to take them on and move through them. We know that you don't understand that completely, but you have felt certain things about you that you couldn't let go of and you didn't understand why. We're going to talk about shame and guilt and embarrassment. Those are all the emotions that you each have used to hold yourselves back in this life. And you've judged yourself for doing that, but we want you to understand you did that for a reason. You accepted those things because you wanted to move through them. You knew that if you moved through them, you would help. We've said this before, you would help change the past of your ancestors, because they're watching you. They are, with great anticipation. So you would move, you would change that. And then guess what? Then the world that starts to emerge, this is why we're saying we want you to see how you use linear time. The world that will emerge in your future will be the one that you want to see. And we're using this day to give you a little more energy to be able to do it. You haven't even started yet, because there's much more that's going to come throughout the day. We wanted to do this earlier in our time space because we knew that it would reach more people at the time that they were meant to hear it. And we're saying that because we do know that there will be others who will hear this recording at a particular time, and they will, and they're going to hear words and they're going to say, wow, that makes sense for me. And you're hearing that now because your higher self, part of your divine plan, said this was the time you were meant to hear it. Each of you have done that. There's no hierarchy of souls. We've said that over and over again, and we really want you to understand it, because there are too many in the world now who will have you think something different. Have you think you're less than another. You're not as important. That was never true. It's never been true in any of your existences. But this time you decided you were going to do something really big. We're saying this again because we want you to appreciate the momentum of this particular time in your world, meaning your life. You would not be on the planet at this time unless you decide you wanted to make a big change. And that's why sometimes it's felt challenging, difficult, and you're letting go of stuff. We've told you, we explained to Roger how all the challenges in his most of his life actually, that he went through were to move through his prior restrictions from him, his family, his ancestors. He knows that. And so then when he moves through them, he can see, oh, now I'm at this place. And so I'm meant to help other people. You each are doing that. We want you to do that, please. Because you've made your ideas and your inventions and your creations, you've made them less than everyone else, and that's never true. Never, ever, ever. We gave you so many analogies over the years, actually, to get you to understand how essential you are right now, how essential you all are. No, your world doesn't exist unless all of you come together and offer your ideas, your opinions, and all of that, which is why we said we gave you we've given you several of these over the years that said your ideas are correct, your beliefs are correct, or whatever they are. We're going to give you something else because we go to such great lengths to bring you this information. So this morning, when Roger thought he wanted us to use one message on the screen for you, and so he's looking and he's trying to find it, and he came to this one, but that's not what happened. What happened in his journey, we want you to hear this. What happened in his journey of going through the messages and trying to find the correct one that we wanted him to get to, he got to see all the ones we had given him that he missed, that he didn't understand. He said, who wrote that? Where did that come from? How come I couldn't see that? You each have done that. You each have done that. That's why we used him as the example just for you, just so you could see what you've done. But now is the time that you could assume your rightful role in your life. Again, we want you to start listening to yourself a bit more. And you don't have the facility of doing it in the way that Roger's doing it right now, because we want to explain you this, but you do it. You just do it in your own ways. When we do these sessions and the information comes through, it's surprising to Roger because he doesn't always know what it is. He has to listen to it later to see what we said. Do you see? We want you to understand you have these different dimensions that you exist in, you do. And right now, you collectively, we're not going to go into much of this now, but you think of third dimension, 3D, and then you're moving into something a little bit different, and you integrate that. That is true. But what you need to understand now is just that there's more, and you will accept whatever is appropriate for you. In the very beginning, we had Roger not look at some of the other studies and ideas that many of you do in terms of other galaxies and all of that, because that's not what he's doing on this part of his evolutionary journey. We want you to understand that because you're each doing something that is appropriate for your growth and development, whatever that is. But the one thing we want you each to understand, that's why we said that you're unique and the same. You are working through you're moving through, you're developing who you are, that unique, beautiful, wonderful being who has everything in them different than everyone else. That's what you're developing because you were supposed to. The world would not survive unless they had your essence in it, because you created the world. You just didn't know that you were the most important one in it. We're going to have so much more. We have given Roger so much information. We don't want to pull it, try to call it all today. We just want you to understand that we really implore you to use this day to imagine the world that you want to see. Imagine the life that you want to live. We want you to do that. We're saying this because we want you to imagine it. It's going to be challenging for you because of what you're experiencing, but we want you to understand that that's purposeful. It's to help you see and recognize who you are. So when we had Roger see this communication from someone he was having a disagreement with, they don't agree with a lot of what his beliefs are. That's what you're all moving through right now. We told you, you have to find a way to own who you are, your beliefs, and give that back to the world and allow everyone else to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to see the world that you want. That's where you are right now. So when he saw this message from this person, he's not going to get into a conflict. So what he did was he went, and we set this up actually. We went to his Facebook and he found the message that we gave you about war. So you don't understand it. You need it. You need to fight. You need to do that because it awakens you to who you are. But this time, what you're up to, this is why your civilizations left, you see, because you weren't able to do this before, but now you are. You're able to see that everyone else has beliefs that they're trying to hold on to and understand because that's part of their journey, and you're doing the same thing, and they're going to be different. And all you're meant to do is to examine everything and then decide what you believe and own that. The one thing, we gave you a message, sometime we'll give you many, but about the difference, because many of you now, we know who you are here, you're worried about your judgments. You're thinking, I can't judge these folks because it's going to make me a bad person. See, those are your human qualifications again. However, if you just change your terminology and just understand that what you're doing, you have preferences. And those preferences are unique to you. They're unique to your life experience. No one can, they're not right or wrong. They're just yours because they are helping your evolution. They're helping you to evolve. And you have to learn how to bring those together. But, this is the big but. What you were meant to do, the reason we gave you the pandemic, we're going to say that your universe brought up the pandemic and all of this stuff so that you can understand who you are and so that you could come together. Now we're saying this, you'll get this later. You could come together. The you is you individually and you collectively, the world. That was the intent of it. Some of you used it to divide, however. You're going to become aware of that now. And then when you decide, oh, I'm going to remember my job. And your job was to come and to be loved. We've told you that often. And the love that you came to be was loving yourself. That's all. That was your only job. Your only job was to be loved, but the love was to be you. When you accomplish that, you are the magnificent person that you intended. We would love to open up for questions now, as we want you to have the rest of your day to really encompass this information and use it and start to create the world that we all want to see.
Okay, everybody, I am going to let everybody into the room as a panelist. So you are going to see that when I make you a panelist, it's going to ask you to go ahead and confirm that. And then you can ask your question in person. You can have your camera on or off if you'd like. So I'm letting everybody into the room right now. And if you would rather not be on camera or heard, you can send me a message directly and I will ask the question on your behalf.
We love that direction from Stan, but we're going to add something else to it. There are some of you here who don't want to be on camera, who don't want to be heard, and that's the part that we want you to move over. So please use the opportunity. You've been hiding out, you've been fearful of who you are, and you've been given opportunities to move beyond that. And sometimes it's challenging, we understand, but you have much more ability now.
Better. Yeah. So.
Yes, Brian, we can hear you.
Oh, you can.
Yes.
This is great for me. I guess it's more of a statement, but a question. I think I'm getting everything, and it's working for me in terms of changing the way I've been living. So I had a very structured life, and I've accomplished a lot of things through that structure. But now I'm in a different place where I do not have that structure. And so what I've been finding over the last few months is that the anxiety and the fear, I think, from the unknown and not having that structure anymore and trying to create new opportunities for myself may be blocking me. And I'm just trying to figure out how to work through that. If that makes any sense. How to, like, what's the fear is what's my next step? Like I just had a show, but then now what? You know, how do I'm used to working with groups, and now I'm just on my own trying to make it happen. And I'm finding that frustrating and, you know, I guess you would say scary. And so that's essentially where I'm at.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much for that, because you use structure to get yourself to where you are now. And that's in the way that you use that was to cause you to feel a little more secure in who you are. You did it along the way, and you actually knew, you could see every step that you were taking to develop that structure. And you did that because it helped put you into a different place. And now that next place is that you're figuring out how are you going to use it. And the way you're going to use it is to give it to other people. You're going to talk about it more. The thing that each of you are doing now, we want you to really get this. So we thank you for bringing this up. You each have developed things that may have been challenging for you as you were doing them, but you each have developed things or moved through things or understood them in ways that helped your life, that improved your life. And so now you're meant to figure out, oh, now how can I use this and give it back to others? That's how the world evolves. And it feels scary. This is why we gave you Roger's story. So thank you for this. See, we said he didn't trust it. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't even want to listen to us. We kept saying, go back and look at all of this. That's what you each have done. But now we want you to just keep moving forward. No, you're not going to know. You don't know until you've done it. So just listen. This is the place where you each get to listen, because you have this ability. Listen to what the guidance that you're receiving and say, okay, I'm going to take that step now. Sometimes there's small steps. We've given you messages on that as well. Baby steps, think of them. Small steps. But as you start moving, you will see you become more stable, as you've done throughout your physical life experience. And you're going to do that now.
Okay.
This is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clarity, go ahead.
Yesterday, I got the message that pain is a sign of recklessness. And at first I thought, okay, it's telling me that I'm getting this message that I'm off track. And I remember a message saying that if it feels bad, you're off track. And in a way, it kind of conflicts with what we've been talking about, inner resistance. I guess my question is, it's recklessness actually means that I'm forgetting myself, right?
Wow. Thank you. We want you to understand what just occurred. We said nothing. You knew that information. You just had to speak it. And you found your solution, you see? You each have that ability. But sometimes it doesn't feel trustworthy to you, which is why we do these groups, because we understand this is why we took Roger through his entire life. Yes, the pain sometimes that you're feeling could be, there's no one way that any of this information, that this comes through, okay? The pain could be of something that you have accepted from your prior lives or ancestors or whatever you've accepted to move through in this lifetime. It could be that. But the pain also could be your resistance from not moving into what you've been shown, what you've been told, where you knew you were meant to go. So it could be that. Accidents sometimes give you that benefit. We love using that benefit. Roger had a car accident where he almost died. You said, why did this happen? We said, because you're not moving in the right direction. better way to have it happen in your car. And we want to clarify this. Because again, you each, we don't want you to judge yourself. So we want you to understand this is all purposeful in the way that it was meant to unfold. You understand things later. That's just the way that humans can experience physical life, you see. As we said, everything that we gave you in 2012 was showing you that all you're doing here now, you're using everything. You're using your entire world. You're using your friends, your jobs, your everything to develop spiritually. That's all you're ever doing. And that's why we said all the physical stuff, you're going to leave it here. It doesn't matter. And then you're going to get on that escalator again and you'll get off on some other floor. We must say, we must tell you, because we can feel, we want you to understand this. You're in the next bit of time, throughout the rest of this year, you're going to have a lot of conflict. You're going to see a lot of things going on, but we want you to, that there's something that is more powerful than that. And that is you deciding to own yourselves and come into places with others where you can collectively put together this energy and cause more to manifest in your world. And that's why we're so pleased about this day, because there are many people across the planet who understand about this particular gateway, and they are adding energy, their collective energy, their individual energy to all of this for us each to use. That's what's happening. Do we have more?
Anybody else have a question? Raise your hand. It looks like we may be complete.
Okay, great. So we're going to leave you with,
Oh, I'm sorry, Wilhelm. Elaine has a question.
Okay.
Hello, Roger. This has been so powerful. So thank you so much. I wanted to know, I tend to be pretty comfortable going with how I'm led into things, and I'm motivated and inspired. However, there are also responsibilities and tasks that come with moving forward with things that you're led to do. And there are some of those more tactical things that I'm not so fond of. So I just want to make sure that I keep myself in balance.
You are in
and that I
balance.
don't chase the heart and use information from sessions like this to give myself an out. How do I check myself?
We love you so much. You all are doing the same thing, because see, you just spoke your answer right there, and you just didn't accept it. You have been given vision beyond others around you, and that's why it's been different for you, and that's why it's also been a little challenging. You had difficulty accepting it and moving with it, but that's what's happened. You were given vision beyond that, and so you were not meant to do all the other stuff to make that vision come together. You were supposed to then be willing, and the reason that you've had trouble also letting some of this go, because the thing that you feel that you're here to do is powerful and it's big, and so you've been babying it, you've been holding on to, and that's great, but now it's meant to go larger. And so the way that will occur is that you, to honor your vision, and say to the others, this is the vision that I have. I want to take this forward, but I can't do all this other stuff. I'm not supposed to. I want those who really feel called to doing this, so that we can collectively move this vision forward.
Thank you, Roger. That is so perfectly clear. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. As we end, we really implore you to use the rest of this day, this energy that you're feeling now, just to incorporate, just keep using it, and envision what you want to see. We're saying this because we've given it to you so many times. You can look through our messages. You will see how many times we've told you focused attention, because you will allow distractions, and there are plenty of them. They'll be around. You're moving into many of them with your holidays coming up. So there'll be many distractions, but just remember where you're going, what you want for you and for your world in this coming period of time and into your next year, but it will be far more into your future as well. We love you all so much, and we thank you for being here. And you are going to do such wonderful things, and we're happy that we are a part of it. Oh. Okay, I was how did I get over there? I was turning to the other side of the room. That was interesting. Hello. This was really quite fun. I think I'll hear it later. Hi, anybody have anything else? We're gonna send everybody the replay as well. And Stan, what am I forgetting?
You're not forgetting anything. I think Wilhelm is really learning how to be very punctual.
Oh.
Right on time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. I have no idea. This was wonderful. I'm excited to hear it now.
Very enlightening.
I commented in the chat before we started that I felt a strong presence of Thomas Merton today. We should honor those pacifists that did their best to keep us from spilling over into nuclear war back in the 60s.
Oh yes, that's where we are. We're all in that. We're doing that now, so this is good. Oh yeah.
And he definitely faced up against the powers. The big guys, Big Brother, when he was allying himself with the pacifist elements in Vietnam, they were very frightened.
Right. Yeah.
And they say that he was electrocuted, but it was a CIA hit.
We're moving into we're gonna all start to. I know there's just so much that's been
Exactly
coming through. That's going
Thank
to be
you.
Really, amazing.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
11/11 has a much deeper meaning today.
Yes.
Than ever. So thank you for that. It makes it more sacred.
I didn't realize that. I didn't know that. I didn't know I was playing that music was playing. Could you hear that? You guys couldn't hear it? Oh, perfect. Nope. Oh my word.
Yeah.
That's too much.
There's a little bit behind the microphone, but not really enough to really pick up as you're channeling.
Okay. So I'll tell you what was happening. Oh, I didn't know that was happening. We were doing this with a whole bunch of other people. I had gone onto a live stream earlier, and it was just there was just for the 11/11 meditation, and it was a portal, and there was like thousands of people there doing it, and I didn't and so the entire time that I'm doing this, I'm thinking, oh, I guess Stan's playing some music or something's happening. I didn't know what was going on. Oh, that's perfect. So we got extra energy, I guess.
Yeah. How many windows do you have open there, Roger? And
just no
on your desktop.
I didn't. Well, I wasn't looking at it. That was the whole thing. I forgot. I didn't even see it. Anyway, that means there's extra energy that went into this. Great. Thank you all so much. This was really terrific. And I'll know for sure later when I listen. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'll see you soon.
I just also wanted to share in the chat real quick.
Oh.
Brian says, thank you for the insight. And Karen says, as always, Wilhelm teaches something new and exciting. Thank you. Cat heart face, cat heart face, cat heart face.
Great. I'll go, I'll listen, I'll see all the, oh, thank you so much.